So hello everybody and welcome to the July show. I think probably ought to let you into a little secret before we begin. Aparna and I, although we may appear to be coming to you live, this is a pre-recording this month. We figured we probably would get away with a pre-recording. It's been an incredibly busy month and a particularly busy day yesterday. So the time today is Wednesday evening in the UK. We're just about to go into the hard fork process, so we're very excited about that. But we wanted to try and make sure we could capture this show and come and share the latest news with you, the rest of the community, on Thursday, end of the month, as usual. So, Aparna, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. And this stressful period is kind of where I love to be. So we're good. We're Brilliant. Good.
But look, another little secret. Although this section is pre-recorded, we're actually all in the chat. We're all here on the call with you today. The product team and a number of the other guys who you'll have known from previous shows. So we'll be here. So please continue to drop questions into the chat as you do normally. We'll answer them in text as opposed to on video this time. And of course, we'll also have a few links for you during the course of the show as well. We're also streaming to YouTube tonight. So again, you can watch that over there if you like, but just keep your comments and your chat onto the Crowdcast channel if you want to be sure that you can engage with everybody. So should we kick off, Aparna?
Let's do it. Let's roll.
So yeah, you know, Shelley, let's look back a couple of months. I mean, it's incredible to think that it is just 2 months ago that you and I and Charles shared with many of the people who are on this call tonight that roadmap, which at the time felt so exciting and yet in many ways so daunting. But we hit every date. We hit every date, didn't we? We ticked every box all the way along. So I tell you what, why don't we just remind ourselves of that journey? So this was the roadmap that we shared 2 months ago. And of course, the beginning of the program was very much about bringing those pioneers, getting the pioneers involved early, people we'd worked with closely on the ITN, skilled stake pool operators who could help us set everything up for the wider community. And we hit that date, May the 11th. That's when we kicked things off there. Even more importantly, we brought in more pioneers. So that initial group acted as mentors and helped the next batch of people set their pools up and start to move forwards and start to build out the network and start to do all that critical testing with a series of exercises and tests that Kevin pulled together that would really try and handhold people through that early stage. Now, of course, when it really started to open up, it was June the 9th when we started to open the testnet up to the wider community, and we provided a faucet as well. So we made funds available for people to start trying transactions out and some of the more basic Shelley level features. Now, when the first Shelley wallet came out, that was when people started to get the first taste of the experience. It was still quite early days, but really from this point on, this is, I think, Aparna, where things really started to feel they accelerated. In many ways, it was also the most daunting part of the journey because the hard fork combinator, which I think is fast becoming legendary, we'd done a few internal tests, but this really was crunch time when we tested it for real. And we successfully did that a number of times. That's, I think, when we started to really get that high level of confidence that we were going to continue to hit these dates and move forwards. But of course, we still left a little deliberate margin for error there, just in case. So we originally suggested 2 potential dates to drop that initial Shelley code onto the mainnet, June the 30th and July the 7th. And you know what? We hit June the 30th. So July the 7th, we didn't need it. We didn't need it in the end. We also had to do some legacy work. So we had to sort out the legacy SL work, which was some of the work from the exchange team as well, who helped do that. And we'll be hearing from them in this show as well. And then really, we came to today, the Shelley hard fork, which, as I said earlier, at the time we're recording this, we're just about to go into. So, Aparna, I mean, it's been an incredible journey, I think, for the whole community. What are some of your thoughts on that journey?
Tim, honestly, I couldn't be more proud and honored to be a part of this team. From the vision set upon by Charles when it came to Cardano, to the cross-functional teamwork that needed to happen this year to make this a reality. I mean, what an accomplishment. Now, Shelley, it's the element of decentralization. And hopefully it's going to provide the world, which it will, which I'm certain it will, with a robust, secure, high quality, proof of stake blockchain-based cryptocurrency, while setting up Cardano for what I'm really looking forward to, which is real world applications at the end of it. a lot went into the design and the build process, from the research into the spec into the product. But I do also want to acknowledge that we did bring in the user persona-based design into this. So overall, we identified about 6 to 7 major user personas for Shelley, out of which we focused on 3 primary ones: the ADA holders themselves with the different wallet types, the exchanges, of course, and then the stake pool operators, which are the foundation layer to really run this whole operations. We're very cognizant of the experience of each and the definition of the success for these 3 personas. And in order for us to validate this launch, we had to do a few things. And I know Charles tweeted this a couple times, and he also talked about it, but this was like a launch headquarters. We not only had to do technical tests, right, from the ledger, or the behavior, the consensus, or the integration validity of all these different pieces, but we also did performance benchmarks, which Kevin is going to talk about, with different network infrastructure connections and configurations. We also did a lot of simulations of stake pool logistics with the different parameters, just to see how things would work out from a treasury or rewards or pledge amounts and so on and so forth. And then don't forget documentation. I mean, there's always documentation and onboarding and what we were doing there for it. And at the end of the day, we couldn't have done it without the community. There was a lot in the rollout in those 11 dates that we did, from testing and retesting, that brought in some community enhancements and bugs and features that they wanted that we built in, including stake pool operator based features that you guys will see and hear about pretty soon. And I did want to thank the community very much for helping us along this journey and with the extensive testing, and for their patience with the process. And we're so excited to be launching at this point. And I know Kevin's been in the forefront of all of this. He's been writing the exercises, working with our team in the background to ensure that everything went smoothly, and has been the face really on Telegram, helping people along and helping our pioneers along the journey through all of this. So Tim, we had a chat with them.
Yeah, we had indeed. Kevin, as you say, was really at the heart of a lot of this rollout from a technical perspective. So yeah, let's hand over to Kevin now and hear from him.
Yeah.
So Kevin, we're about 3 hours from the hard fork. How's it going? How are you feeling?
Hi Tim, it's great. It's really exciting. We're finally at the big day, and everybody in the team is really looking forward to seeing the hard fork go ahead, seeing all the stake pools that we've been working with over the last months up and running, people delegating to those stake pools and earning the rewards, of course. So this is really great. It's the combination of several years of work from many dedicated people.
And a particularly intense couple of months as well. And Aparna and I went through our own versions of the journey, but perhaps you could just shed a little light on how it's gone as being the technical lead, and, as I said earlier, the chief bear wrangler for this process. Perhaps tell us a little bit about the process and maybe some of the learnings also of the last couple of months.
Yeah, of course, we've had lots of challenges to deal with. We've been producing something which is a state-of-the-art piece of software. We have significant security issues to deal with, as well as performance issues. What we're doing here is to produce a high criticality piece of software. So it's really been an incredible and very focused time for people working on the team. Lots of work on formal specification, lots of testing work. The Quick Check and Hedgehog automated testing frameworks have been absolutely fantastic at sifting out bugs. The whole process, I think you'll discover, has been great at finding possible issues for us before we've actually encountered them live. And then, having got the functionality up and running, what we've been doing is to look into improving performance so that the system not only does what it's supposed to, but it also runs really smoothly for the stake pool operators, for the end users, and fixing up, of course, any issues as we've come across them. And it's inevitable with a project like this. There are always a few things where you realize, oh, actually, that's not quite right. We now need to tweak that. Conversely, there are a few things where we've said, okay, that's not quite right, but you know what, guys, we're getting to the hard fork. Let's leave it for the next hard fork, whenever that happens to be. So it's very, very important recently in the cycle to say the code is frozen. We've got the node version that we're going to hard fork with, and since then we haven't touched it. We have been ready since the time of the hard fork update. We're launching with the version of the node that we had then. I think it's been incredibly important to have that stability in the last few days.
And it was a particularly intense period just going into that, wasn't it? I think bringing together so many disparate sort of parallel development tracks, and the integration piece, I think, has been a particular area of complexity and busyness.
That's right. Well, we've got lots of teams who are coming together. There, in total, there are something like 7 or 8 components that make up the Cardano ecosystem. Even within a single component, within the node, for example, we have a ledger team, we have a consensus team, we have a networking team, we have a monitoring team, and I've probably forgotten 2 or 3 other teams as well. So getting all that to work together, getting all these components to work together, making sure the protocols are right, that there is no possibility that of any ADA going missing anywhere in the entire system, making sure that we've integrated with state-of-the-art cryptography and other technology to keep people's ADA secure. Now, it's an incredibly complex piece of engineering that's been put together here. So great credit to the team for doing that, and for doing it so quickly, to be honest. It's not that long since we released Byron, right? The Byron reboot.
And great credit to the community as well, I guess. The stake pool community have been such an important part of this journey.
The stake pool community have been incredible. We've been working very closely with the stake pool operators. They've been feeding issues into us as they've found them. They've made some fantastic suggestions for improvements, for feature requests. We haven't been able to put all of those in just yet. It will probably take us another month or so, to be honest. They've made so many good suggestions, but we're not going to be idle for a while, Tim, in catching up on that. But we will do our best to get through them. And what we've tried to do is to make sure that the most important things, the things that people care about most, have been done, and we've got to a system that works as it should do, and works well.
So we're now into the age of staking and delegation. Perhaps you could just give us a little bit of a reminder of how that works, epoch by epoch, and what people can expect to see over the next set of 5 days.
Yeah, certainly, Tim. So there's so epochs, as you're saying, are divided into 5 days, exactly as on the Byron mainnet. Epoch's going to be much, much more important as we go into the Shelley era. So as soon as the hard fork begins, we'll be in Shelley Epoch 0. And at that point, stake pools will be able to register. This can happen immediately after the hard fork. So it's not a matter of the hard fork happens and you've got to wait a bit to be able to participate. No, right from the get-go, right from the very second after the hard fork has completed, stake pools will be able to get their registrations in. I know a lot of stake pool operators are busy sorting things out right now. So as soon as the hard fork happens, they're ready to roll. And once stake pools have registered and the stake pools have appeared on chain, then users can delegate. And that can happen right from the very start, right from the very first pool being registered, or later on in the epoch as you like. So that's Epoch 0. At the end of Epoch 0, something very exciting happens, which is, first of all, everybody who has delegated on the ITN will be able to receive their rewards. The very first thing that happens is the rewards will be credited to accounts. And immediately afterwards, we will take a stake snapshot. I think I've been saying to you, Tim, during the week, I've been saying snake snapshot. No, this is a stake snapshot that will happen. And that is what's going to propel the production of blocks going forward. But during Epoch 1, no pools will be producing blocks. We'll be waiting for the delegation from Epoch 0 to take effect.
And it's probably also worth mentioning, isn't it, at this stage, that it takes a little bit of time for the momentum to build up. I mean, for example, in terms of the experience within Daedalus, you can't show historic data until you've got a little bit of history, and we're effectively starting at Epoch 0. So things are going to be developing, aren't they, really, for every user over the course of the first 2 or 3 epochs?
That's right. We strongly recommend that users check back, see how their initial delegation choices are doing. Even within the same epoch, you can still reconsider your delegation choices. Just be aware that it's going to take 2 epochs before they start to take effect again. So you won't see an instantaneous change in the delegation and the rewards that you're receiving. There'll be this slight delay.
Okay. You had said that this is an advanced piece of work, and yes, we all know that we've lived it now, the intensity of putting this together for a couple of months and launching it, and we're going to have a lot of opportunity over the next few weeks to talk about this. But from a high level, let's talk bare bones performance, right? So we're doing this software in Haskell, mission critical way, code wise. So let's talk about some of the benchmarks that directionally show us we made the right choice here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Aparna, if people have been using Daedalus on mainnet already with the Byron reboot, I think they'll be very pleasantly surprised by how fast the initial startup is. What should happen is that the information you've already had on mainnet has been cached, and the system can use that as part of the startup process. So you'll see a very, very quick startup on Shelley in that situation in the new Daedalus wallet as soon as it's made available. If you're starting from scratch, you've never used Daedalus on mainnet, on the Byron reboot mainnet before, then it may take a bit longer. But the startup times that we're seeing from the QA team say that we should be syncing within an hour, possibly if you've got a slow machine, within 2 hours. So it's basically as fast on Shelley for the initial sync from what we've seen as was happening with the Byron reboot. We'll keep an eye on that, of course. We've got a lot of tricks still up our sleeve. I probably shouldn't admit this, but we've been holding back a few performance improvements, partly because they were a little late in the day, and we didn't want to risk disrupting the node that we went to the hard fork with. So expect even faster performance happening as we get into the Shelley era.
It's always versus time, right, Kevin? When it comes to whether we freeze or we put everything in the kitchen sink into the build. Yeah, totally.
At some point, it becomes very important that you freeze, Aparna. So having certainty, knowing that you've got something which works is good. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe you could improve it. It's very important to do that, because that's the way you really get to test it very, very rigorously. And stake pool operators have been working with us on various mainnet candidates. The QA teams have been working really, really hard on various test nets to check through that version of the node and make sure that it's as good as it can be, and that really there shouldn't be any issues that we're not aware of. Okay, obviously we'll then start to make improvements.
So I mean, I want to give a shout out to what we've been testing. So there's parameters, right? That was a big topic. We talked about that last month. We focused on that a little bit, changing around the parameters, especially around D, how the network performs, how everything performs. Stake pool operators, they were testing. They were not only testing that, they were testing performance. They were putting load onto the network. What else, Kevin? Go ahead and let our audience know.
There have been all kinds of functionality tests. Aparna, we've been testing one of the important things we've been doing is to put the rewards mechanism through its paces. We've been checking that the results that we're receiving are aligned with those we're expecting. So we spent quite a lot of time working on that. just to be absolutely sure that things are spot on. And I'm pleased to say that we're getting essentially 100% consistency between what we'd expect and what we observe in practice, which is quite remarkable if you think about it.
We've also, Kevin, we've pushed out a new staking calculator today as well, which is actually showing ever so slightly higher headline rewards than the previous version. So I imagine there's going to be, alongside some of the kind of the cleaning up, there's probably going to be a few tweaks to parameters and some of the values as well, are there, over the next few months?
That's right. The change to the staking calculator, Tim, that came about because we realized that the rewards and treasury return we were getting were sensitive to participation rates in a way that we hadn't intended. What we've done is to make the treasury return much more consistent, much more predictable, and that also means that there's been a slight increase in the projected return to delegators, which is good news all round, right? So the treasury grows at a predictable rate, delegators receive more rewards. Brilliant. Love it. Win-win.
Kevin, one of the questions I'm sure people would like to know, what about any gnarly moments? What was the most concerning time of the process for you in terms of moments where it was really looking quite tricky? We've just said earlier that we managed to hit all our dates all the way along, but there certainly were moments where things were looking a bit more challenging.
Well, this Monday was quite exciting, Tim, because we had a panicked message flying through the channels, which basically said, we're not getting any rewards on any of our delegation. And the Ledger team thought, oh dear, or something like that, maybe a bit stronger. So we went down, we quickly rebuilt a copy of the node. We replicated what the QA team was doing, the testing team was doing. We dug deep into all the ledger code, deep into the logging code, and we couldn't find anything. We thought, okay, this is really, really weird. Maybe there's a huge, huge bug somewhere deep in the system, and somehow, despite months and months of testing, we hadn't found it. Now the QA team have come along and they found it. But actually, it turned out they just made lousy choices of pools. The pools they'd chosen weren't producing any blocks. The pledge to those pools hadn't been made, hadn't been met. So all of the pools they'd chosen were bad, and they saw no rewards at all. So I'm not going to ask the QA team to pick any delegation choices for me, I can tell you.
So a worrying moment, a validation of the way the whole system is designed, ironically, despite looking like a bug.
But it's good. It would be great to have that as a test, right? So it's a fantastic test. The system behaved exactly as it should. And if you make the wrong delegation choices, if you're delegating to pools with poor performance, then of course the rewards are also poor. And the system is designed so that you do delegate to pools that produce good rewards. We just had random choices over the pools, and unlucky ones at that.
So Kevin, after having fought so many bears after the last couple of months and having the scratches to prove it, what's next for you? Are you going to get some time off in August, or is it straight back?
Yeah, well, I understand that Charles has promised some time off for members of the development team. So that's going to be great. Lots of people are going to be taking advantage of that, Tim, making sure they're refreshed for the next wave, because of course, Shelley is not the end. It very much, although we've been working on this for a number of years, this is the beginning rather than the end. As soon as we go through the hard fork, we will have launched the system. We know that there will be things that we have to deal with, but we also know that we've gone through the major part of the process. We've got to a stage we've launched something which is good, reliable, does what it's supposed to. What we can now do is deal with all these feature requests, do all the fun things that we said, oh, it'd be great to implement that, but we just don't have the time right now because we've got to fix this particular thing. We've got to figure out why the QA team is not getting any rewards. We've got to get the metadata aggregation server up and running in time for the hard fork, etc., etc. So we'll be able to have a bit of fun and work on performance improvements. Got some good ideas there. Also saying new features, and start to look at some really fun aspects of the Cardano system, smart contracts, multi-asset systems, multi-tokens, voting. Many exciting things are going to be coming up, and they're all possible because of what we've done with Shelley. So it's going to be great. We're going to have a summer holiday doing fun things, Tim.
Kevin, thank you very much for all your hard work over the last couple of months, particularly also for keeping everybody so well informed within the community. So, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Get well-deserved rest.
Bye, Bonnet.
So that's Shelley, and of course, a massive part of Shelley is staking and delegation, for which you need a wallet. So last night we released Daedalus 2.0 for the mainnet, our first ever Shelley wallet for staking and delegation, for choosing stake pools, for seeing rankings, performance metrics, etc., etc. So expect to see a lot more information and video guides coming out on Daedalus very soon. There's also Yoroi, which there will be a wallet available, not quite yet. Make sure you follow Emergo's social channels to find out the latest progress there. And also Sebastian has published a video on YouTube to give you a bit of an update as well. Last but not least, hardware wallets. Now, this is an area of great interest for many people in the community. So we thought we'd find out more and give you all an update. So earlier, Aparna caught up with Vacuum Labs to hear more.
So getting all the necessary features and support into Cardano isn't solely dependent on our internal employees. We strategically choose partners to work with whose expertise in certain technologies and areas will strengthen Cardano's specifications and also, most importantly, help with time to deliver. So one such partner is Vacuum Labs. We chose them specifically for the hardware wallet support for Ledger and Trezor. And it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Petra, the product lead, who also spoke last month at our virtual summit. So if you missed that, please go check his talk out in the YouTube channel. So Michael, welcome. How are you? And I heard you just got back from a small vacation. How was that?
Hi, Aparna. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I was on vacation in Cyprus. It was great. It was like a paradise island.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I bet. I can't wait. It's one of those on my bucket list as well. Hopefully when travel restrictions ease a little bit for us over here stateside. So Michael, tell us a little bit about Vacuum Labs, your company's background, and in particular, your experience with Cardano.
Yeah, so we are a software development company with a headquarters in Bratislava. We have several development offices in Central Europe. We have also an office in London and in Hong Kong. Our main focus is on fintech industry, so we are basically building these fancy digital banks and helping with different digital markets and stuff like this. But we have a big passion for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. We started to develop on Cardano blockchain. I think it was over 2 years ago. We created Adalite, which was the second wallet after Daedalus. Yeah. So we also developed some other nice products like the Trezor and the Ledger integrations for Byron Cardano. We also worked on products like Yoroi or Seiza.
That's great. Yes, your experience was one of the reasons we definitely decided to go with you for our project. So let's get into it. You know, the community is really excited. Shelley has happened. So how are we ready for Ledger and Trezor support, Michael?
Yeah. So the firmware code is ready. Currently, we are working with both Ledger and Trezor to check if everything and test if everything is prepared for the public release. We hope that both these integrations will be released very soon after the hard fork. As for the ledger, I believe we should have this up and running in about 2 or 3 days after the hard fork. For Trezor, I would expect that they will release everything on 5th of August, when is their following release date for their firmware.
Got it. So let's talk about user experience a little bit. So walk a user that has a hardware wallet through the experience now with this integration.
Yeah, so basically, Ledger users will have to download a new Cardano app that will enable Shelley transactions, that will know the new Shelley addresses, and that will allow the cold staking. And for Trezor users, they will have to update the whole firmware after the 5th of August. And currently, we can say that Trezor will be for sure supporting sending and receiving transactions on Shelley, and we are still working hard with Trezor to include also cold staking for Trezor. So hopefully it will be also there. In the beginning, I would say that the hardware wallets will be working only with Adalite web wallet, but Joroi and Daedalus should join very soon and develop their own integrations.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So I'm going to leave users with how the collaboration's been, because it's not only with input-output, it's also been with the Cardano Foundation. So this was kind of a three-way collaboration. Also, I heard you guys found a couple big things, right, during the integration on the security side. So why don't you leave the users with a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the collaboration has been fine, and the project was really challenging. It was something different than when we were working on the Byron integration. During the Byron integration, we had a mainnet running. We could test everything immediately on mainnet. It was well documented, so that was much easier than now. This brought also another challenges, such as the staking and other stuff. Regarding the security, this happened during our Byron ledger integration work. Our security researcher, Peter Perescini, he found a very critical bug in some of the ledger apps, and he was also rewarded a bounty for that. He did it during the work on the Cardano ledger app. So we can be sure that Cardano apps are really secure because the security engineer that was working on them is really good.
That's awesome to hear, Michael. You got to love open source collaboration. So I appreciate it. Thank you for being on the show, and looking forward to more successful collaborations with your company. Take care, guys.
Thank you for the invitation. Bye.
So we've talked about the roadmap, we've talked about wallets, but another very important part of the rollout of Shelley has been exchange relationships and making sure that those are all working successfully in terms of integrations. So I caught up with the team from the CF who've been handling all that over the last few months.
So John, Mel, thanks very much for joining us today. I realise how busy you are right now. But perhaps let's just start by maybe introducing yourselves, telling us a little bit about what you do for the CF. John, perhaps you want to go first.
Sure. I'm John McPherson, and I'm the Exchange Relationship Manager for the Cardano Foundation. I'm the first point of contact for any issues or questions exchanges have, and I'm in charge of making sure that our relationships with these partners is in good standing.
And I'm Mel McCann, and I am the Platform Integrations Engineer at the Cardano Foundation, and I handle any of the technical aspects related to exchange integrations and third-party integrations. And I'd just like to give this, take this opportunity to give a shout out to Neville Freeman in IOHK, who is our counterpoint.
Well, you've left Neville to it while you talk to me. Thank you very much. So look, perhaps you can just tell me a little bit more about how how managing those exchange relationships actually entails, both in terms of a longer term view and also in terms of kind of day-to-day operations. John, perhaps start with you.
Sure. So first of all, managing these relationships is great. This allows us to be in direct contact with our partners and their technical teams as well. It allows us to troubleshoot any issues they have or any questions very quickly. With so many partners and more joining every single week, maintaining these good relationships is super important. These relationships are important for the ecosystem, as each project has really three sides to success, right? We have one, you need an amazing development team, which we have. We need exchange partners so that traders are actually engaged and interested in the project and have access to trade it. And three, great leadership. I think these are the three main points to any great project.
So how does that actually translate into a day-to-day kind of operations? You must be particularly busy at the moment.
Yeah, every day it seems we're talking to exchanges, and with over 40 partners right now, it can get a little hectic. But we recognized a few months ago that for a successful deployment to Shelley, we really need to have this stuff on point. We need a great technical team, but also these relationships need to be top notch. Mel and I were brought on recently because we realized we need this day-to-day communication. We need these day-to-day relationships. So we've been opening up communication channels like Slack, Telegram with our existing partners and seeking opportunities with new partners. And these proper lines of communication are really helping with talking to our partners for a much faster flow of discussion. Now Mel can explain the more technical changes over the last 3 months that we've had to get us ready.
Thanks, John. So over the last few months, we've gone from the Byron legacy code to Byron reboot, which entailed a project called Adrestia. And Adrestia really set us up for success with the transition to Shelley. That was what it was designed for. It was designed to give exchanges a good experience and lots of integration options, which they have. And yeah, it's been a lot of work, and we've been working very closely with IOHK. So it's been great.
I guess there's been quite a few differences between the exchanges. Obviously, I imagine historically they've done everything in quite different ways, which just adds to that complexity.
They do. I mean, some of them manage, they manage their technical infrastructure very differently. They also want different components from us. So some of them are happy to use Docker components. Some of them are happy to use, REST or command line interfaces. It can get quite complicated because you're, like from John's side and my side, we're dealing with so many exchanges and they want so many different things. But at this stage, I think we've settled into a nice rhythm and we're providing them what they need. Yeah.
That's good. So what does it mean to an ADA holder? I imagine there's going to be a period of downtime at some point while they do the actual final integration. But what can an ADA holder expect to see over the next few days?
Yeah, absolutely. So with this update, trading should not be affected. The majority of exchanges will keep trading open. The minority may close trading, but we haven't really seen notification of that yet. You won't be able to move your existing ADA. It will be stuck in the exchange during the upgrade, but it's perfectly safe. And as soon as that exchange is upgraded, you'll be more than able to fully access your funds again.
Okay. So what if an ADA holder does come across an issue? What's their best way of trying to get that sorted out and mitigating? I guess get in touch with the exchange first of all, but what else can they do?
Absolutely. You can check statuses on exchanges. You can log a ticket if you're not clear. Contact the exchange on social media. Say, hey, are you guys upgrading? Have you upgraded? Now, because we're doing our job properly, these exchanges know, so they all know about this upgrade that's happening. But definitely check a couple times a day, see how things are going, and you're more than welcome to reach out to us as well, and we can definitely give status updates as needed. Okay,
so Mel, if somebody wants to reach out to you guys, what's the best way to do that?
I would recommend that they check out our technical support page first. If it's a specific Cardano issue, well, then we will document it there. We're working very closely with our partners to deal with any issues that they have, and we will publish those issues open for everyone to see. So you usually can find that information. It's readily available.
Brilliant. Guys, I'm going to let you get back to work now, but thanks very much for making the time. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Thank you very much. Take care.
So, Shelley, the beginning of exciting times for Cardano over the months ahead. But there's lots more coming, not least Voltaire. So we wanted to give you an update also on some of the work that's been going on in that area. So earlier, Aparna and I caught up with Dor, who is the product manager for Voltaire, and is currently working on the pretty exciting Catalyst project. So let's go over to that now. Okay, so Dor, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, Dor, perhaps before we kick things off, you just give everybody a little bit of an introduction about yourself for those of you who didn't hear your talk at the summit.
Yeah, sure, and thanks for having me. So I'm the product manager for Project Catalyst here in IOHK. Before taking on this role, I was a product manager for DAOstack, which was one of the kind of like cutting edge blockchain companies doing decentralized governance. And before that, I did my PhD about collective intelligence and how we can basically collaborate within very, very large distributed fashion. So collective intelligence, collaboration, making decisions together has been like basically a lifelong passion for me.
Yeah, and I can see why why you're so passionate about this particular project. I think that came through at the summit. Catalyst actually got a lot of interest and a lot of community interest both during the summit and afterwards. But before we dig too much into Catalyst itself, perhaps let's just look at the bigger picture and some of the wider themes around Cardano. So this idea of governance, this idea of, and Voltaire. So perhaps you just want to set a little bit of context at which Catalyst is sitting within.
Yeah, definitely. So Project Catalyst is a part of a greater vision. Okay, the Voltaire vision, and what's behind that? This whole Voltaire initiative is 4 key principles. One is self-sustainability for Cardano. Is the idea that in order for the system not just on the short term, but really looking forward and like in the coming years, like how does the system evolve and improve and become better over time? The second one is a symbiotic relationship with the community, like understanding that we are putting the ADA holder in the center, and how do we make this kind of relationship? The third one is evolvability. How can our system be adaptive? We know that a year in blockchain is kind of like dog years, right? It's like 7 years in normal world. So we need to be extremely adaptive and evolvable. And how do we do it? How do we make fast, not just good decisions and decentralized decisions, but fast decisions? And lastly, it's about resilience. So there's no point in a way like, if you have a decentralized system, but in the end, there's only a few people in the end that kind of like hold the keys to the castle, hold the plug. It's not very resilient. This is a very fragile system. So what Voltaire does, it distributes the power, the decision-making power along many, making us more resilient.
So, I mean, these are some pretty big picture kind of themes, some pretty broad reaching and almost abstract concepts. How are you going about starting to turn the conceptual into the practical and the practicable?
So I think it's, that's a fair question. And there is a large amount of complexity in it. And I think that the bridge is one more concept, and that is understanding that we know that we don't know. Okay, so we understand that we're doing something here that's completely new, completely exciting, in a way that's never been done before, and we're going towards it with an experimental approach. So the way that it works is we started off with research. Okay, so we had for many years now, we had teams of PhDs and professors all working on making sure that we have a system that's safe, that's research-backed, and that relies on the best practices of how to do decentralized governance. Now we're in the process of taking all these important, heavy insights and doing a series of social experiments, like implementing them in here in the community, and seeing what happens when humans interact with these more abstract theoretical constructs, and what can we learn. And then the final stage is once we all go through this shared experience and we see what we come up with, we see what kind of impact is generated, how we feel about the system as it acts, like, for example, in terms of fairness, in terms of usability. Then it's time for the community to give consent and to say, okay, we like this. This is the way to go. And now that we're informed, and now that we've been through these experiences, and then we iterate. We learn from each experiment, and then launch another one. And I would say that for me, like, the overall goal for Project Catalyst is having this really flexible experimentational framework that makes us able to make these experiments in a rapid pace and learn as much as we can from them and improve quickly. I think lastly, a lot of it is about developing intuitive tools, developing things that everybody can use and interact with, and making sure that it's understandable. So people understand what we're trying to achieve, what's expected of them, what we're measuring, and what are like the rules of the game. So we believe that once we have all these in play, we are on the path to become truly innovative and bring really paradigm shifting new ways of creating value in the world.
So Dor, that I really do like this approach, right? I think that we're all very excited about doing this sort of experimentation. I think it's going to help us, like you said, understand the general psyche of voters and proposers and everybody that's involved in the community, that's going to help us get to the state of decentralized governance, because it's not easy. It's not easy to even think how to define this without being able to do these experiments. And that's why Project Catalyst is so important. But I do want to bring up the fact that it's not only Catalyst. You've already started this process of bringing in focus groups and users to be able to direct us and guide us in how we're setting this up. So can you share a little bit for our viewers today on that process? Because I think they'll be very interested in knowing how we've been doing this.
Yeah, definitely. From the moment we started, we made a very clear, a very clear principle that we put our community in the center. We put the user in the center. So even in the very, very early stages of planning the strategy, we did the in-depth user interviews. We talked with different members of the community about their expectations regarding governance. We showed them mock-ups and early prototypes and got their feedback and adapted accordingly. And just recently, we finished the first phase of the project, which was called Fund Zero, which was basically an early test of the governance process. So we took a group of 5 people, five community members, and actually from 5 different continents. So it was a truly global team. And we went through a governance simulation. So we told them, hey, look, we have a fund, like, currently, like, managing for Fund Zero, it was like fake money, but let's all pretend this is real and this, and really engage in this simulation. And they used the mobile app that we developed, and in order to look at some example proposals we created and made decisions, and we published the results and for them. And also this way, we kept asking them, like, what questions do you have? What's clear or not clear? What did you enjoy about the process? What did you dislike about the process? How can it be improved? And we learned a lot from it. So first of all, we had 3 key measurements that we made. The first one was about usability. And there we got we used kind of like a 5-point ranking system. and we got a score of 4.7 for usability. So people were very happy with how intuitive the tool was. Then we asked them about fairness. So fairness it's an abstract concept, right? It's almost like an emotion that you feel as you go through something, and there we got a score of 4.1. So what do we learn from this? We learned that for example, this is something that we need to improve, that we need to listen carefully to the voice of our users, and make sure that it's not just let's say usable and effective, but it feels good. And we already learned a lot, and we're already implementing a lot from what we learned for our next release. Lastly, we asked them about the impact. So we asked them like, okay, so you made the decisions about a few proposals. Assuming that they will be executed properly, do you feel this is going to give Cardano a competitive edge? Do you feel this is an impactful decision, that the execution of a proposal? And there we got a very strong yes, like a 5 out of 5. And what this shows us, it kind of gives us a direction, and it helps us understand how we can be better over time. Another thing is, like, we understood what people really care about. So for example, the vast majority of people talked about how important usability is for them. So we know in the blockchain space, things tend to be complicated and require a lot of custom setup and a lot of support. And we're really glad to see that we're doing something that's more intuitive. And second of all, that the key concerns of people was like gaming of the system. Okay, so some people like abusing the system in different ways, from either from hacks or scams, and because we know this is so important, we are putting a lot of our energy around that, around making the system safe, and around introducing accountability measures around proposals, and around, for example, learn that people really care about the identity of the proposer. They care that the person who's making the proposal, actually has the relevant experience. So for you as a community, when you're going to interact with the app, you're going to see that like how is the proposer's experience is going to be very highlighted in the app itself. Yeah, and I think that it's been an amazing process. And I mean, I think for me personally, one thing I didn't know when I joined the team was actually how amazing the community is. And talking to these people really inspired me, because I mean, I've been around the blockchain world, and this community is very special. We have passionate people, we have knowledgeable people, we have talented people. There's like a lot of potential there, and I can't wait to scale that up and see what we can create together.
And it did seem to, as I said at the outset, Dor, it did seem to really sort of capture the imagination, the story of Catalyst. Perhaps you can just summarize as concisely as you can. What is it you feel that's exciting people about the idea of Catalyst?
I would say I would say two main things. First of all is empowerment. It's about influence, your ability as an ADA holder. This basically adds something that's completely new for you, like the ability to be a decider, the ability to have your seat at the boardroom. So suddenly, from like being an observer or someone who can comment, you got your hands on the wheels, and I think that's huge. That's one. And I think a second element is just the innovative potential. Is the idea that if you have a good idea, if you think you can make something impactful, if you have like talents inside you that you can express, you have an opportunity to do so here. Not only that, but we're also helping you create the environment that can help you reach the full potential. So we're part of the thing that we are launching in Fund 1, that's a new addition, is the whole innovation phase. And that innovation phase is, well, it's not just about improving proposals and improving their impact. It's about making this whole process a creative process, an exploratory process, a process where you can meet other people and collaborate with them, and you'd have the means to do that. I think it's a way for a lot of people to kind of like get into, in a way, in the blockchain space, test out their ideas, and and even if you're not you're not like entrepreneurial in spirit, and or that like seems like a heavy thing, you are welcome to come in and you can give people comments and help them improve. So there's like, whether you come as a voter or you come as an expert, right, and someone that can share perspective, or you come as an innovator, a proposer, there's so many ways, interesting ways for you to contribute.
Yeah, I really like that. The crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, it's a very social platform for change. And I'm so glad we're thinking about this in parallel with everything else going on for Cardano. So speaking of that, when it comes to the roadmap, Dor, can you give us a little bit, tell our viewers really where we are in the roadmap and what's coming next?
What we did in Fund 0 was we basically validated the governance phase. Okay. Let me take it one step backwards. Okay, so there's 3 main phases. Okay, so the first phase is an innovation phase. It's all about making good proposals, high quality proposals, impactful proposals. Then the second stage is the governance stage. This is about making good decisions. Okay, so and how do we empower the community to make the best decisions about which proposals to fund? And then there's a third phase, which is the execution phase. So in our roadmap, we are validating each one of these phases. So Fund 0 was about validating the governance phase, making sure it's fair, impactful, usable. And so we have the voting app that's tested, and we're currently working on improving some of its security. So improving how you register to vote, and make sure that it's very, very secure and that people feel comfortable doing that. As far as the innovation phase, this is what's happening right now. So we're launching Fund 1, basically like in August. And we're starting with a much larger group of proposers, people who have ideas, that already reached out after the summit for me or for other people. And they already have something they want to put out there, and we're giving them an opportunity to incubate their ideas. So it's not just about making your proposal better and more likely to be funded. It's also about all these people going through this process and giving us feedback how to improve it and how to make this whole innovation process and collaborative process even better. So that's what's really happening right now, and part of it would be launching a whole innovation platform, something we will make an announcement about soon. But it's very exciting. This is like it's a set of tools. It's also a communication channel. It's a set of best practices of how crowdsourcing projects really work, and it's based on many years of research of how you drive these things to produce impact.
So Dor, if people are liking what they're hearing, can people get involved at this stage? Is there anything they can do to become involved in this early stage?
Yes. So, and again, and so this is like, and I'm putting here a disclaimer, right? This is this is a test. This is an experiment. So there's not going to be any funds in the end. A lot of things would need a lot of work. This is like an alpha release. But so you can expect a bit of a turbulence, but it's a huge leverage point for you if you care about this, about Cardano being innovative, if you care about the treasury, if you care about governance. This is a great opportunity for you to jump in and contribute from the get-go and have a lot of influence while also incubating your proposal, making it ready for Fund 2. So we're going to share a registration form, hopefully here on the links in the show, and you can specify your interest there, and basically unless you're a huge troll, you're gonna be in. And you can take part.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Dor. Truly appreciate that. I'm sure our community is going to be very interested to be involved in this. Like Dor said, this is a series of experimentations. Guys, be ready for the fact that this is how we're going to do product development, is ensure that your voices are heard and do rollouts so that we can build in the necessary feedback to make the product as robust with the market input available. So thank you once again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, Dor. Cheers.
Cheers.
So that's Catalyst, Aparna. I mean, just one of the many things that really resonated with our community at the virtual summit at the beginning of the month. It's very easy with all the excitement of the past month to kind of almost forget it was just a month ago. But let's just look at a little video just to remind ourselves of some of those sessions that took place.
This is Charles Hoskinson, broadcasting live.
And we're recording. All right.
Welcome to the Cardano Virtual Summit 2020 discussion on future challenges for cryptocurrency exchanges.
You look at something like JavaScript, or you look at something like Solidity, and you go, why did they do it that way?
Welcome to the Gogan session on tokens, dApps, and more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bluetooth Q&A.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the presentation.
Almost 10,000 people registered for this event.
I think this is one of the 32 announcements that we're making during the summit.
In this session, we're going to talk about an effective democratic approach to funding Cardano's long-term development.
Interesting. Thank you so much for all your trust, faith, and love that you've had for us since the very beginning. I will never forget it. You changed my life, and I hope that I can change yours, or already have. Thank you.
So they're just some of the impressions from the summit, the virtual summit. So Aparna, what were some of the other things? Obviously, Catalyst we've talked about. What were maybe some of the other moments that particularly struck with you that you felt were particularly important to highlight?
My goodness, I can go on for days on that one. It was a very exciting summit, Tim. True celebration of kind of where we are and where we've come as a company. Lots of big names and great announcements, but maybe a couple of themes that I think I'd like to highlight. From the product end, there's a lot of work that's being done, of course, on Shelley itself, but Project Atlas, that Alex Appledorn's session is. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, please do. The whole chain, face of the chain, and what we're planning to do there. Project Catalyst, as Dor has just gone through, of course, for the decentralized governance. Gogan, a lot of people already starting on the When Gogan message, and it's something we're definitely working on and looking forward to unveiling to the community as well in a rollout. And then identity, right? How do we make identity a first-class citizen of the network, and how do we use that for different proof of concepts that's very much needed in the blockchain space? So that's on the product end. On the research end, they're continuously improving areas under consensus, looking at Chronos, for example. Basically, we're refining the blueprint of how to build blockchains, and that's what you saw in the research and the science angle, is how to get better and better at being able to do this in a more modular fashion, quicker, And kind of like Moore's Law type of a deal, Tim, on that one. And then, of course, the last one is all of this won't matter unless we have some widespread adoption in the market and the industry. So the track around enterprise, for example, was a favorite of mine as well. Not only the Hyperledger piece that we spoke quite a bit about, but also the proof of concepts that we're doing with the Pan-African strategy, and some of the other proof of concepts we're doing around identification and authentication and tracking and supply chains and so on and so forth. So those are all key. Please check them out on the summit, but we'll definitely be talking more about it through the months here in the show, and also through the weeks. So Tim?
Yeah, we're gradually uploading more and more videos to the YouTube channel. So go and have a look. There's a lot of stuff in the playlist there. It continues to grow every day. Again, maybe not so much has gone live in the last week or so for obvious reasons, but please, everybody, do go and have a look at that. As you say, we've got lots more to talk about over the months ahead. It's been an exciting week. It's going to be a fantastic August, and really from now on, we're really going to start motoring. So Aparna, look, great to speak to you again as ever. And thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks to all our guests for joining us on this show. It hasn't been live, but I hope we've all managed to communicate and engage with each other as we always do. So until next time, thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.